Hey, what's up, Street Dogs? There, Kim from the Eric Street Photography blog. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about is this notion of financial independence. So it's a notion that's very strange to me because I think when people say, oh, I want financial freedom or financial independence, whatever, I feel like everyone's saying something a little bit differently. So treat this video as an attempt to just kind of make sense of all of it. So when people say financial independence, what I really mean, I think people mean to say several things. First and foremost, they want to say, oh, I want to not worry about money. So to know that at the end of every single month, I could pay my rent. If my car breaks down, I could pay for it. Or maybe if there's like a injury in the family, it could get dealt with, whatever. I think there's also a notion of financial independence being this notion of like some sort of gaining like passive income. And I ultimately think that passive income is a myth because no matter how you derive your income, it always has to be active. Like, for example, even if you run a business and everyone else is working for you, you still have to manage the managers. And even if you're making money from investments, you have to constantly monitor and also manage your investments. Even if you're retired, you're constantly looking at your finances. So a lot of it still takes a lot of mental energy. Or even if you're selling products on the internet and you're drop shipping them, whatever, you still need to aggressively market your products or else no one's going to buy it. Stuff doesn't just sell itself miraculously. So I think that's another thing, that people just want to sit home on their butts where money just kind of magically flows to your bank account. And once again, I think this is kind of like a fantasy myth that all money, I think, is active and also should be active. Then it just kind of prevents us from being complacent. Even my best friend, Kendrick Lamar, he has a tattoo on his arm that says, hustle like you're broke. And he's still hustling, so he's Rick Rossing it. And I think also with financial independence, people think, I don't know, maybe people also think about financial independence like, oh, I just want to have a bunch of money and I could just go out and buy a bunch of stuff and spend a bunch of money without having to worry about like running out of money. And I think that's also another strange notion. And also within this, like, I think they call it FIRE, right? Financial independence, retire early. I think for the most part, it's a good idea in the sense that, I think it generally promotes a more frugal lifestyle and a more economical lifestyle. And then there's all these other like kind of buzzwords thrown like, digital nomad or location independent or I don't even know what people call it nowadays. And I just wanted to speak a little bit about my personal experiences to just kind of unravel some of my thoughts. So, when I was working a 9-to-5 job, essentially for myself, I really hated having to go into an office all the time. So this is the thing that's interesting, is that not all parts of office life were bad. I loved my coworkers. I liked coming in to the office playing ping pong. And I actually kind of liked having the ability to, I biked to work. And I was also very lucky, worked in Santa Monica on 3rd Street. And so it's like a nice area. And so I actually liked going into work and socializing. I think it was really good for my mental and physical health, whatever. But what always bullshit to me was, I'd get all my work done by like, let's say 3 or 4 p.m. And I just wanted to go home. I'm just like, all right, I'm done with this. I just want to go home. But then there's this thing where it's just like, you must be here all the time. And there's some days I just didn't want to show up to work. And I'm like, okay, I just want to work from home. So I think that's where the notion of location independent work is coming from, is that people still want to work, but they don't want to feel like they always must be inside the office, which I think is a good idea. And so another thing was, I liked those parts of my job, but also I hated the idea that I didn't have any equity. So I spent so much time building up these social media channels for my old company. But at the end of the day, I didn't own none of that. And all my efforts putting into it, once I leave the company, I've lost all of my mental investments. So I think that's why it's also important as an entrepreneur to build your own equity. And if you're building your own Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat followers, whatever, you're technically not building equity because you're building, it's kind of like, I call it digital sharecropping, is that you're building your own kingdom on top of somebody else's platform, and thus you're building your kingdom on quicksand. The more robust way to do this is to start your own website, your own blog. I recommend bluehost.com and installing wordpress.org, and also starting your own email newsletter. I generally recommend using MailChimp so you could directly have access to your followers, your fans, whatever. And so it was really frustrating because it was very disempowering in the sense that there's a lot of things I liked about my job, like my coworkers, and some of the work was challenging. But after a while, I just kind of got bored, and I'm like, man, I just kind of want to go out and just do my own thing. And I actually generally prefer working in coffee shops too. So I'm like, man, working in an office inside a cubicle and so dark in here kind of sucks, right? So I think the secret isn't to just stop working. I think we all just want to do more meaningful work. We want to direct our life energy and our human metabolism towards creating things which we find personally meaningful and empowering, and essentially feel like we're not squandering our lives. And so when a lot of people think about financial independence, I think it always comes down to money, but it's really not about money. It's really about directing your life energy to build and make and create and do meaningful things rather than squander or waste your time on things which aren't that interesting to you. Because the thing about financial independence is, honestly, it's more of a mindset thing, because you could be a billionaire and still not have financial independence if you're going to sleep every single night anxious that you're going to lose it all, right? And on the flip side, you could technically be somebody living in poverty on let's say $25,000 a year, $40,000 a year for the kind of more working class in America at this point, I suppose. It's you could technically be financially independent, that if you don't worry about money, technically I think you're financially independent. And so I think what we're trying to train ourselves is not to worry about money. But then, there's a lot of things for us to unravel. Then it's if I want to become self-employed, how do I make money, right? Because practical things we have to do is we have to pay our rent, we have to buy food, whatever. And so I think when it comes to financial independence, just really think to yourself, what is the ultimate aim? Because everyone's goal is to become financially independent. I think it makes sense. But I think that's not the final thing we're really seeking for. Is financial independence is only a bridge in order to achieve something else we really, really want. And so think about yourselves what is your end game? It's I think most people say, I want financial independence in order to travel the world, to do more meaningful work, in order to read more books or travel, whatever it may be, right? But this is actually the funny thing, is that technically a lot of these things that you kind of want to do if you were financially independent, you could actually probably already do it right now. Even if you have a 9-to-5 job, you can still take vacation, holidays, and travel. But then some people might say, I want to be traveling all the time. And then it's okay, you could do that if you want to. You could become a travel agent, or you could become a tour guide. And they're like, no, but I like having my BMW home. So it's in life, you could do anything you want to do as long as you're willing to accept certain life consequences. But they're like, no, I want to have it all. I want to be rich and famous and not stressed and And then it's yeah, I think it is possible, but once again, there are certain consequences or certain things you must do. So if you want to become a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire, location independent, travel the world, whatever, you need to work really, really hard and hustle really, really hard, and also really think outside the box and use your ingenuity. And also, of course, it's going to take a little bit of luck to achieve it. But once again, I think in life, really think about your true preferences, which is what you really, really want in life, rather than false preferences, which are essentially preferences which we get suckered into thinking that we want via advertising and social media, Instagram, whatever. Honestly, I think the best way to discover what your true preferences in life are is that, stop watching anything that's supported by advertising generally. Delete social media from your phone. And yeah, really gauge your sincerity in terms of what you really want in life, because there's ultimately no good or bad or right or wrong preference in life. It's just authentic or inauthentic. And not to use any moralistic acid behind it, is that inauthentic preferences, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. When I say inauthentic, it means that sometimes you could think that it's something you really, really want, But no, you actually don't really like it. I mean, a simple thing is like, do I want an iPhone or do I want an Android device? And who knows, maybe it's the marketing of Apple which makes us desire the iPhone more. But let's say you try out both devices and you just genuinely prefer the Android device. That's a classic example. Or people say, I prefer a more simple, frugal lifestyle. Are you really saying that because you have been rich and you know that your preferences are actually living a more simple life? Or is it more of like Aesop's grapes, the fox with the grapes, I think, where it's like, you only say that, I prefer a more minimalist, simple lifestyle. And you're only saying that because you've never become rich and you cannot become rich. So you just kind of use the sour grapes, cognitive, bias to convince yourself that you feel better about yourself. But anyways, taking all this into consideration, I think the first step in philosophy and wisdom is to know thyself, know yourself, knowing what your true preferences are. And generally speaking, and I think this is the truth, is that all this wisdom that you want to learn about yourself, you're not going to find any book or any YouTube channel, any podcast, any external source. You just really have to spend more time thinking, philosophizing, reflecting, and really gauging your own sincerity. Like even for myself right now, I think I actually do prefer a more simple lifestyle, in the sense that to me, the thing I actually desire the most in life isn't money. It's really having the ability to focus by having fewer distractions and fewer obligations, and in order to create more empowering, epic ideas and being able to share them with as little fear as possible. And even with these YouTube videos I'm making, I don't put any ads on any of my videos and monetize it. I mean, who knows, maybe I can make a few $100 a month off of it. But to me, it's more fun for me to be able to share the ideas that I genuinely believe in and to not worry about money. So who knows, maybe, a good way to become financially independent is, do Postmates or drive Uber, or, just be a waiter or waitress and just just make money however, and don't really tie your ego into how you make money. And then spending your free time creating information, writing books, making art that really fulfills your soul. So once again, with financial independence, obviously I don't have the answers. Only you'll have the answers for yourself, because all of us, we're going to define financial independence a little bit differently. So I would just encourage you to really ask yourself, how do I define financial independence? Why is it important to me? And maybe also, am I already there? Even though you might have a 9-to-5 job, you might already be financially independent depending on what your definition is. So yeah, anyways, leave your thoughts, leave a comment down below, and just leave a comment for yourself. Write a comment, say, I define financial independence as da 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 da, and why is it important? To me, financial independence is important because of da 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 da. Anyways, let's keep thinking turbo thoughts. Keep thinking those turbo thoughts, and never stop gauging your sincerity, searching your own personal truths, and becoming the most epic you. Peace out.